Day 1 back in America. I haven't lived here in 3 years. By day 3, I was booking my flight back out. This is what happened. This isn't what I expected. And the numbers don't lie. The moment I stepped off that plane at JFK, something felt off. I couldn't put my finger on it yet, but the air felt different. Not literally, though the recycled airport AC was hitting me like an Arctic blast, but energetically, like I'd walked into a different frequency. Within 15 minutes, I'd seen 47 advertisements. I counted them. Billboards for medications I didn't know existed, treating conditions I'd never heard of. Ask your doctor about Tremziva. Could you have chronic venous insufficiency? New Ozempic for weight loss. It was a medical dystopia disguised as helpful information. My phone exploded. Not with welcome back messages from friends. With alerts. Data overages. Roaming charges I didn't even know I'd racked up. $47 already. I hadn't even collected my luggage yet. $47 for existing on American cell towers for 20 minutes. I forgot about this. How everything here has a fee, a charge, a subscription, an upsell. Nothing is just included. I needed a rental car. In Europe, I walked everywhere or took a €2 train across entire cities. Here, there was literally no other option. No trains, no buses that made sense, just cars. Cars everywhere. A sea of metal. The cheapest rental, $89 per day. For a Nissan Versa that looked like it had witnessed crimes. With insurance, because America, it jumps to $127. Daily. That's $889 for 1 week. To drive a car that smells like a gym bag left in the sun. But here's the thing nobody tells you when you come back. You need the insurance. Because in 2025, the average American family is paying $26,993 annually just for health insurance premiums, if they even have insurance. That's almost $27,000 before they see a single doctor. And one car accident, one trip to the ER, that could financially destroy someone. So everyone's terrified, and aggressive, and distracted. The road isn't a shared space, it's a battlefield where everyone's one fender bender away from bankruptcy. 10 minutes on the highway, and I witnessed 2 near accidents, 3 people doing full makeup while driving 75 miles per hour, and a guy eating what looked like a full pasta dish with a fork. With a fork. At highway speed. Welcome home. I forgot about this too. The aggression. The honking. The way everyone drives like they're personally offended by your existence. I was starving. Genuinely lightheaded. I pulled into what used to be my favorite burger place. The menu made me do a double take, then a triple take. A combo meal. Just a basic combo meal. Burger, fries, drink. $16.47. With tax, because of course prices don't include tax here, that would be too honest. $18.12. In Portugal, I was eating fresh grilled fish with wine and a view of the Atlantic for less than that. For less. I paid, and then the iPad spun around. It asked for a tip. 20%, 25%, or 30%. For counter service. I ordered at a counter. I picked up my own food. I would bus my own table. And the machine wanted up to 30% more. I felt the pressure of the cashier staring directly into my soul. The people behind me in line watching. Judging. I panicked and hit 20%. Now my $18 burger costs $22. $22. For fast food. But worse than the price? The taste. It didn't taste like food. It tasted like a simulation of food. Like someone described a burger to an AI in 2015, and this is what it generated. Salty. Greasy. But somehow, hollow. Empty calories in the most literal sense. The small drink was 32 ounces. That's nearly a liter. The small. I didn't finish it. I physically couldn't. My stomach felt confused, full but unsatisfied. Like I'd consumed 1,000 calories of nothing. Day 1 observation. America is the only place on earth where you can spend $20 on a meal and somehow feel both uncomfortably full and nutritionally empty, both overfed and undernourished, at the same time. Day 2. I woke up to construction noise at 6:30 a.m. Jackhammers. America's alarm clock. I started looking at apartments. Not to buy. I'm not insane and I don't have $500,000 lying around. Just to rent. I wanted to see what my old life would cost in 2025. My old neighborhood. The place where I had a decent one-bedroom apartment for $1,200 a month back in 2022. That exact same apartment, same building, same parking spot that floods when it rains, same broken elevator, is now listed at $2,241 per month. That's an 86% increase in 3 years. 86%. But it gets worse. Look at this. This is a studio apartment, 400 square feet. The bathroom is basically in the kitchen. There's visible water damage on the ceiling. $2,050 per month. In the description it says cozy and charming. It's neither. It's a glorified closet and it costs $2,000. This is where I live in Portugal. 3-bedroom apartment. Balcony. 10-minute walk to the beach. €800 a month. That's roughly $850. I have a balcony, with an ocean view, for less than half the price of that water-damaged American closet. I expanded my search. Maybe something further out? Somewhere more affordable? The average national rent for a one-bedroom in 2025 is $1,495. That's the median. In any major city where jobs actually exist, where you can have a career, meet people, have a life, double it. Easily. So let's do the math. And I mean really do it. Because this is where it gets dark. Rent, $2,200. Health insurance if you're buying it yourself, not getting it through an employer. Roughly $600 to $800 per month. Car payment for a used Honda, $500. Car insurance, $200. Gas, $150. Phone, $80. Internet, $70. Groceries, $400 minimum, and that's if you're eating like a broke college student. Rice, pasta, the occasional sad vegetable. Utilities, $150. That's $4,050 per month, and that's before student loans, credit card debt, car maintenance, tolls, parking fees, clothing, haircuts, any form of entertainment, or saving literally one single dollar for retirement or emergencies. To afford this basic existence, you need to make about $48,600 per year after taxes. That means earning around $65,000 to $70,000 annually before the government takes their cut. The median individual income in America right now? About $48,000 before taxes. The math doesn't math. It literally doesn't work. The numbers don't add up. You cannot afford to exist here on a median. This is why Google searches for how to move abroad hit all-time highs in 2025. This is why visa applications to Portugal, Spain, and Italy are exploding. People aren't leaving because they hate America. They're leaving because they can't afford to love it anymore. The country has priced out its own citizens. Day 2, afternoon. I woke up from a nap with a splitting headache. Jet lag, probably. Maybe dehydration. I went to a pharmacy to grab some ibuprofen. $15 for a bottle of 20 pills of generic ibuprofen. In Spain, I paid €2, that's about $2, for 40 pills. Same exact medication, same active ingredient, but 7 times more expensive here. But that's not even the dark part. That's just the appetizer to the dystopia. I was waiting in line at the pharmacy counter when I overheard a woman arguing with the pharmacist. She was maybe 50, 55, working class, exhausted. Her prescription wasn't covered by her insurance. Some technicality, wrong formulary, not pre-authorized. The medication cost $347 out of pocket. I watched her face collapse. She asked if there was a generic. There wasn't. She asked if she could do a payment plan. The pharmacist said no. Pharmacy policy. And then she started crying. Right there at the counter. Quiet crying. The kind where you're trying not to make a scene but your body won't cooperate. The pharmacist looked exhausted too. Not annoyed, just depleted. Like this happens 10 times a day. Because it probably does. Here's what nobody tells you about living abroad. You forget what financial anxiety feels like. You forget that baseline cortisol hum of constant worry. You forget that getting sick isn't just physically painful. It's potentially financially ruinous. Every cough becomes a mental calculation. Is this urgent care worth $200? Is this chest pain a $3,000 ER visit, or just anxiety about the cost of going to the ER? You start diagnosing yourself on Google because WebMD is cheaper than a copay. In 2025, American families are paying an average of $26,993 annually just for health insurance premiums. That's just to have insurance. Not copays. Not deductibles, which average $4,000 per person. Not the actual cost of care. Just the privilege of having a card in your wallet. And it's getting worse. Analysts are projecting double-digit premium increases again for 2026. Some states are seeing proposed hikes of 20, even 30%. I realized something sitting outside that pharmacy, watching that woman wipe her eyes before getting in her car. I'd been living without fear. Real, bone-deep financial fear. And I didn't even know I'd lost it until I felt it crawling back into my chest. Like a weight I'd forgotten I used to carry every single day. That evening I met up with old friends. People I genuinely missed. I was excited. I'd been looking forward to this for weeks. But within 5 minutes, something felt off. Everyone looked hollow. Not just tired, depleted. Exhausted at a cellular level. Dark circles. Slumped shoulders. That glazed look of someone running on fumes and cold brew. They all worked 50 to 60-hour weeks and talked about it like it was completely normal. Yeah, I've been doing 10-hour days, but it's fine. Grinding for that promotion. One friend, someone I used to go hiking with, bragged about not taking a vacation day in 2 years. Bragged. Like it was a badge of honor. Like slowly destroying your health and missing your life was something to be proud of. In 2025, 66% of Americans report having poor work-life balance. 77% have experienced burnout. The United States ranks dead last among developed nations for work-life balance. Last place. Below every other wealthy country on Earth. But what hit me hardest wasn't the exhaustion. It was the conversation. Or lack thereof. Nobody asked me about where I'd been. What I'd learned. What life was like in Europe. What I'd discovered about myself. The conversation immediately pivoted to, so when are you getting a real job? When are you settling down? What's your 5-year plan? What's your ROI? It was like the only acceptable topic of conversation was productivity, output, optimization. What are you producing? What are you consuming? What's your personal brand? What's your side hustle? What value are you generating? What's your ROI as a human being? And nobody seemed to notice. It was just normal. The water they were swimming in. I felt like I'd walked back into a machine. A giant, humming, relentless machine. And everyone was just okay with it. Or too tired to fight it anymore. Day 3. Sunday morning. I went to a mall because I needed... Honestly, I don't even remember what I needed. That should have been my first warning sign. The mall was having a 70% off everything must go sale. Every single store. All of them. 70% off. Doorbuster deals. Lightning sales. Limited time offers that have been running for 6 months straight. Everything's always on sale here. Which means nothing's actually on sale. It's just psychological manipulation dressed up as savings. The original price is fiction. The sale price is the real price. But the theater of the deal, that dopamine hit, keeps people coming back. $49.99. Not $50. $49.99. Because 50 feels expensive triggers that mental pain response. But $49.99? That feels reasonable. It's the same price. 50 cents difference. But it works. On everyone. All the time. Even when you know the trick, it still works. I watched people for a while, pushing overflowing carts of stuff they clearly didn't need. I know because I used to be them. Buying things not because I wanted them, but because they were good deals, because consuming felt like participating, because shopping felt like doing something with your life. A decorative sign that says "Live, Laugh, Love," a candle that costs $38 and smells like autumn harvest, whatever that means. A throw pillow shaped like an avocado. Who needs this? Who is this for? I sat on a bench in the middle of the mall for 20 minutes. Just watching. Everyone looked busy. Purposeful, moving with intention and direction. But toward what? More stuff? Better stuff? Newer stuff? Stuff that looked good on Instagram? My friend from Lisbon sent me a photo. She was at a beach. It was Wednesday afternoon, 2 p.m. She works 35 hours a week as a graphic designer and gets 28 paid vacation days per year. I did the math. That's 5.5 weeks of paid vacation. Annually. Guaranteed. Americans average 10 paid days off per year. 10. If their employer offers them, and if they feel safe taking them. 26% of Americans took 5 or fewer vacation days last year. And we act like this is normal. We've been gaslit into thinking this is just how life works. The mall started feeling less like a shopping center and more like a theater. Everyone performing the ritual of consumption. Going through the motions because we've been told this is what you do with free time. You buy things. You stimulate the economy. You participate. Sitting in that mall, something shifted. I started noticing everything. Really, deeply noticing. Like Neo seeing the Matrix code for the first time. The way everything is designed for cars, not humans. There were no sidewalks outside the mall. You literally couldn't walk anywhere safely. If your car broke down, you were stranded. Trapped. The entire infrastructure assumes you have a functioning vehicle at all times. The way every single conversation, every one, eventually turned to money. How much things cost. How to save money. How to make more money. Investments. Side hustles. Passive income. Crypto. Money as the central organizing principle of human existence. The way everyone seemed to be in a permanent rush to nowhere. Rushing through breakfast. Rushing through traffic. Rushing through lunch. Rushing through meetings. Rushing through dinner. Rushing through life. Speed as a virtue. Stillness as laziness. The way "how are you" isn't actually a question. It's a greeting that demands the answer good or fine, even if you're drowning. Even if you're one paycheck from eviction. Even if you haven't slept in 3 days. The answer is always good, because anything else is oversharing. Too much. Uncomfortable. The way every single surface is monetized. Ads in bathroom stalls. Ads on gas pumps. Ads before movie trailers. Ads before YouTube videos about ads. Your attention isn't yours. It's a resource to be harvested and sold. I realized something profound and kind of terrifying. Reverse culture shock isn't about things being different. That's not what this feeling is. It's about seeing clearly what you'd been trained not to see. It's about recognizing that normal isn't normal at all. It's just what everyone has collectively agreed to pretend is normal so we can cope with it. So we don't lose our minds. It's the Matrix. The red pill. Once you see the prices, the stress, the exhaustion, the tipping screens, the medical bankruptcies, the car dependency, the prescription drug commercials, the $49.99 psychological tricks. Once you see it all for what it really is, you can't go back to the blue pill. You can't unsee it. You can't go back to sleep. That night I couldn't sleep. Not because of jet lag. My body had adjusted. I couldn't sleep because of math. Because numbers don't lie, and the numbers were screaming. I ran the calculations again. More carefully this time. To live a modest life in America in 2025, not a lavish life, not luxury, just secure and comfortable, I'd need to earn at least $70,000 annually. Minimum. After federal taxes, state taxes, Social Security, Medicare, health insurance premiums, rent, utilities, car payment, car insurance, gas, phone, internet, groceries, and basic necessities, I'd have maybe $500 to $800 left per month for savings, for emergencies, for retirement, for occasionally enjoying my life. Abroad in Portugal, on half that income, $35,000 a year, I have triple the disposable income. Better health care that doesn't require insurance archaeology. 4 weeks of vacation that I actually take. Fresh food from local markets. Walkable neighborhoods where I know my neighbors. Community. Presence. But it wasn't really about the money. That's what people will say. Oh, you're just chasing cheaper rent. But that misses the point entirely. It was about the feeling. The constant gnawing feeling that life was happening to me here, not for me. That I was a participant in someone else's economy, not the author of my own life. Hustling isn't a personality trait. It's a symptom of a broken system. We've confused being busy with being alive. We've confused consuming with living. We've confused surviving with thriving. So I opened my laptop and booked a flight. One way. Departing in 18 hours. Not because I don't love America. I do. I love what it could be, what it promises. But I love myself more. And I refuse to spend the one life I have grinding myself into dust for the privilege of barely getting by. 3 days. 72 hours. That's all it took to remember why I left. People think expatriating is running away, escaping, giving up on America. They're completely wrong. It's running toward something, toward affordability, toward balance, toward healthcare that doesn't require a GoFundMe, toward a life where your value as a human being isn't measured exclusively by your productivity and your paycheck. In 2025, over 9.5 million Americans live abroad. That number is growing exponentially, not because we're unpatriotic, not because we hate freedom or apple pie or baseball, because we're exhausted, because the dream we were sold doesn't match the reality we're living. Someone at the coffee shop asked me, a stranger who overheard me talking, "Don't you feel guilty? Leaving? Abandoning ship?" And I realized something. That's the final manipulation. The last psychological trap. Making you feel guilty for choosing a life that doesn't destroy you. Making you feel selfish for wanting something sustainable. Making you feel un-American for expecting that working full-time should be enough to afford a decent life. That's not patriotism. That's Stockholm Syndrome. Here's what I need you to understand. This isn't a hit piece on America. This isn't me dunking on my home country for views. This is a love letter. A love letter to anyone who feels like they're drowning and can't figure out why. To anyone working 60 hours a week and still living paycheck to paycheck. To anyone who's ever cried over a medical bill or skipped a doctor's appointment because of the cost. The water's not supposed to be this deep. You're not failing. You're not lazy. You're not bad with money. The system is failing you. The math doesn't work. And that's not your fault. You have options. More options than you've been told. The world is bigger than your zip code. Life doesn't have to be a constant grind. You don't have to earn your existence every single day. You don't have to monetize your hobbies. You don't have to have a side hustle. You're allowed to just be. There are places where healthcare doesn't bankrupt you, where rent is reasonable, where you can walk to get groceries, where taking vacation isn't seen as lazy or entitled, where work is something you do, not something you are, where your worth isn't determined by your productivity. I tried living in America again. I lasted 3 days. Not because it's impossible. Millions of people do it every day, and I see you, and I respect the hell out of that struggle. But because I now know something different is possible. And I can't unknow that. Once you see the matrix, once you see the code, once you take the red pill and see how the systems actually work, you can never unsee it. And honestly, I don't want to. If this resonated with you, you're not alone. 9.5 million Americans live abroad. Searches for how to move abroad hit all-time highs in 2025. Visa applications to Europe are surging. The conversation is changing. Maybe it's time your life does too. The American dream costs $5 million over a lifetime now. What if you could buy a different dream for less? Thanks for watching, and good luck, whatever you choose.